extra time.
Cruel end to the day for Joe Root, but can you start by just putting into words that incredible knock from the skipper today?
Yeah, quite amazing innings. To back up his double 100 in the first test, both physically and mental, to show the application, to go and do it again today. It's been a masterclass really in batting against spin. It's been a great education for all of us, I think, watching on from the sidelines, and we thoroughly enjoyed watching him and gutted for him to get out in that fashion at the end of the day.
He spent so much time out in the middle already in this series. Does it become as much about physical endurance as anything else?
Yeah, absolutely. For all the 8 days of cricket so far, he's pretty much been on the field. So I think especially in this game, it seems a lot hotter. It feels a lot more draining than the first game, with those rain breaks as well. So I think we have to not just praise the tactical and technical aspects of his game, but the physicality and concentration to apply himself for so long. Once again, to back up the first test is quite amazing, really.
But by his own standards, last year was a relatively modest year for Joe. He didn't make a test 100. Have you sensed a kind of renewed determination this year to start scoring those huge number of runs again?
I think so, a little bit. Certainly felt like, having watched him in the first that warm-up game we had in between ourselves, he was playing beautifully and he looked hungry and determined, and I know he's spoken a lot about that and the high standards he sets for himself. I think that's, talk about his underperforming is pretty good for most others, but he certainly sits at the top table of cricketers in the world, and the standards he sets himself and drives on to achieve is what makes him so good. And certainly that hunger to back up a double 100 in the first game, to go and score another massive 100, just shows I think where he's at with his game. I think he's certainly enjoyed the time and work he's put into his game technically, and probably having knowing how much he loves batting, having not been able to bat for a while, and missing the one-day tour in South Africa getting cancelled. He looks hungry to spend time in the middle.
Jos, obviously Joe's come into the crease 3 innings running now, with the openers having failed, and obviously really tough conditions for them to try and practice their game. But I mean, what are you making of the struggles that perhaps the younger players are having to deal with these conditions, especially in light of India, and what can they learn from watching Joe up close like that?
Yeah, I think not just young players, old players, people watching at home can learn a lot from watching Joe Root bat against spin. The changing room is right behind those guys. So only a couple of innings, and having to start your innings against spin is a different proposition. And they've been putting in an immense amount of work in the nets, and it's very important that those guys continue to trust their game. And once you get through that initial period, it does certainly change and things become more comfortable. And we've seen, for people on both sides, once you get in, there's runs to be had on these surfaces. And so those boys are working hard. Everyone's right behind them. I'm sure everything clicking is only just around the corner.
Hit the subscribe option and the bell icon to get all the exclusive sports videos on Extra Time.